Hello, chess friends. This is brought to you by Chess and Gaming.
Welcome to the Chess Assassin's Corner. This video is all about piece placement. After watching this video, you will learn how to rearrange your pieces in order to fix your position. You're playing the black side. So far you have a bishop on e7 and 2 pawns on the 5th rank. Right now your focus is on relocating your bishop on e7. If I could somehow get my bishop to the e5 square, that would be wonderful. White just played the knight to a4. What is your reply? After this move, black gains tempi. One is bishop g5 hitting the queen, and the other one is pawn to b5. Choose which tempo will be the greater threat. Black just gained 1 tempo. This tempo is the greater threat, so you want to play it first. And now pawn to b5, and after gaining this tempo, this will allow black to advance the pawn to e5. So after gaining 2 tempos or tempi, in addition to 1 pawn advance to e4, the evaluation is in black's favor. And the line continues with rook b1, bishop f4, and the bishop will drop back to e5 after pawn to c4. Black's got a really nice setup, a strategical setup. 1 pawn on f5 and the other one on e4, a bishop on e5 that aims at the pawn on h2. The queen on d8 has access along the d8 to b6, or she can go to g5 or h4. Look at the bishop on f6 and the knight on d7. Also notice the light square weaknesses in the opponent's camp. The queen has access to the a7 to g1 diagonal after placing the queen on b6. Queen b6 check, and now the rooks are connected. Now what can black do to gain tempo? What about the pawn on e4? Pawn to e3 kicks the queen. And after the queen moves, bishop captures knight on c3, and after the recapture, knight to f6, and the knight has a beautiful post on the d5 square. In this position, which king is safer? Let's say you're playing the black side. You want to compensate for the open G file. So ask yourself this question: what do I need to do? This move is a plus due to the fact that white does not have a dark square bishop. The next step is to figure out a way to rearrange your queen on d8, your bishop on f6, and your rook that is on a8. Bishop to g7 allows the queen to move to the f6 square. And after white advances the pawn to a4, queen to f6, now you control the h8 to a1 diagonal. Now you're ready to swing the rook over. However, Queen to d4 offers a queen trade. Why? Because you're left with a bona fide piece. Bishop on g7. You want white to accept the trade, but if not, then that is even better. Rook to c8 aims for the pawn on c2. So how is black gaining space advantage? Gradually. The final step is to exploit the weakness of the opponent's pawns. Black is a pawn up, but also the pawn on b4 is now en prise, and the pawn on d5. The knight is ready to hop to f6. And lastly, you have a rook on the second rank, or the 7th. This is the thematic rook lift to the 7th. Depending on what white does, you will most likely want to play the knight to f6 in case of queen on e1 to h4 is played by white. The only thing protecting the knight on e3 is the rook on h3, having only one defender. In this final example, black welcomes this check. It's a wonderful tempo that allows black to place the bishop on the h8 to a1 diagonal immediately. And after the queen moves, there is a tactical target, the knight on c3. Lifting the queen to c7, and now the knight is double attacked. If the knight moves, then the rook on a1 will be lost. However, should white make a move such as knight to a4, then black gains a piece. Pawn to b5. But don't stop planning after you gain a piece. What should be your next plan? Look at the pawns on the queen side. What is the next step in trying to undermine white's queen side pawns? When doing calculations, always consider the ways that your opponent can put up some resistance. Pawn to c4, but the move to play here is pawn to a5. The idea is to try and wreck the opponent's pawns. After this move, knight takes d5 is another tempo, with the idea of knight takes b4. And after the queen moves, knight captures the pawn on b4, and now white is almost out of pawns, period. Thanks for watching. Press that like button if you like this video, and don't forget to subscribe.